The sad truth is that Adam and Eve is a fantasy story. They never existed, my friend.
Who said that?
This is what you don't understand. You're not using your brain.
Who said that?
I said so.
Yeah.
You're not using your brain.
Yeah.
That's
So,
the problem, my friend.
do you know the Earth is flat?
Don't change the subject.
No.
Mansoor. Don't play
I'm going to
games.
show. I'm going to show you something interesting.
I don't care if
I'm
the
like-
Earth is flat or
No.
not.
Is the Earth flat or is it spherical? We had people here debating the Earth is
Yeah, but
flat.
I'm not like them, Mansoor. I'm atheist.
Wait. Is the Earth flat or spherical?
It's not flat.
Okay. What's the evidence for it?
I mean, I can't give him the evidence right now.
But you believe in it.
To be honest, I don't really care.
It's a myth.
I don't really care if it is or not.
I'm just paraphrasing those friends of ours. They didn't come today maybe. You know what they say? The Earth is a sphere is a myth. I'm just going to paraphrase their words on you. You believe in a spherical Earth? It's a myth, Salman.
That's their opinion. I don't agree.
Oh, right. So when you said Adam and Eve doesn't exist, that's your opinion. I don't agree.
That's your opinion.
That's your opinion. I don't agree.
But you still haven't got any proof for it.
But you submit it's your opinion though,
I
yeah?
can believe without any accessible evidence. Like I believe in gravity without any proof whatsoever.
Okay, but isn't there?
Am I being inconsistent? No, I'm being very consistent.
Mansoor-
I can believe in gravity without any evidence.
Is there any chance that this could be a fantasy story?
No, do you know why?
Could you
Because
accept-
when I know for certain the Quran is from Allah, from the Creator, without a shadow of doubt, and He mentions this, then I accept it.
But you're saying Allah wrote the Quran.
No, Allah gave the Quran. He revealed it.
You didn't write it.
Why did he write it himself?
Look at the talk. Oh, if Allah wrote it Himself, you accept it? If I told you Allah wrote it Himself, would you accept it?
I'm just giving you semantics here.
No.
It's a bit
For
of fun.
example,
It's a bit of fun.
the Christians, not Christians, the Jewish people will come and tell you, God wrote the 10 Commandments with His own hand. Would you accept it now it's from God?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm
Why are you so inconsistent then? Again, a methodological issue. You demand something, and when it's given, you don't accept it. That's a sign of what?
no, sorry, Mansoor, what I meant to say.
Did you demand, why didn't God write it Himself? And yes, we have evidence that God wrote the 10 Commandments by
I
Himself.
was just humoring you. I'm sorry, I was
Are
humoring
you humoring me?
Sorry, I was humoring you. Okay. Let me explain it. I didn't explain it too properly. I'll explain to you, sorry.
Sure.
The point I'm making is this, is that someone must have wrote the Quran. I'm not sure who, 100%, but I'm sure there was lots of men, Arab men back then in Saudi Arabia, who wrote the Quran. It's common sense. To say, you'd have to, it's common sense someone must have wrote it.
No, someone scribed it, right?
Yeah, it's common sense.
No, not common sense. When people, for example, if I dictate a letter to you and you write, where's the letter coming from? Your head or mine?
Yeah, but...
Slowly.
Are you talking
If
about
I dictate something for you to write, I dictate, write. We are in Speaker's Corner now. So is it coming from your head or my head?
It's coming from your head.
Good.
Yeah, but
so when the Quran is dictated to be written, the people who are writing, the scribes, are they writing it from their own head, the contents of the Quran, or are they just following what they've been dictated to them?
So who told him to write? Who told him to
The
write?
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Muhammad.
Yes.
So maybe Muhammad wrote the Quran.
And where did he say it's coming from? From God.
Yeah, but
Do you know why it's impossible for him to write the Quran? Enough evidence to sustain that argument. There's enough evidence to say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is impossible for him to write the Quran.
Well, the whole illiterate story.
No. You can analyze someone's speech, whether it's from him or not. Yeah, you can actually analyze it. The Quran is impossible to be speech of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we know his speech, which has been recorded in the hadith literature. Totally unique from the Quran. Totally different. What the Quran says is impossible for him to know as well. Impossible for him to know. How is it possible for him to know the underwater interoceanic waves? How did you know that? It's impossible for him to know. You have to have satellite go up there and look and then see, there are waves within the oceans, deep oceans, which are inside the oceans. How did you know that, living in a desert?
So the whole...
I'm giving you one example. If you want, I can just give you, like shotgun example of 20, 30, 40 examples, and then you'll say like, that's too many. How did the Prophet, living in a desert, on a desert, talk about interoceanic waves in deep oceans, which you can't see? You have to go up this space, and with your satellites, you can see them.
So who wrote it then? Nobody wrote it.
How did he know that? No Arabs could have known it. No other people at that time, in their time, could have known it. How was he able to describe a 21-day embryo of a human being which looks like a leech and acts like a leech? Morphologically and functionally.
He probably had help from other Arabs.
No one else could have known. 21 day you can't see it with the naked eye. You can't see it.
There was no microscope.
Microscope was invented by Van Leeuwenhoek in 1673. And do you know what they said? They said the whole human being is like a miniature human being in a sperm like this. And we know that was false, but that's what they claim they've seen it.
So you're saying Muhammad never lied? He's never lied?
No, I'm saying these information I've given you 2 examples so far. If you
but
keep
how
on
do you
asking, I'm going to give you more examples.
Yeah, but
how did he know this?
How do
He
you-
couldn't have known this. Neither could the Arabs at that time. Neither could the Chinese and the Greeks and the Romans and no one could have known these things. It's impossible. You
is
need
no
look.
script whatsoever.
Can you see a bacteria with your naked eye?
No, but what's
I'm asking you a serious question. Can you see a bacteria with your naked eye?
bacteria with my naked eye?
Yeah. Can you?
No, I can't.
You can't. So you need magnified tools that magnifies it, right? Without the magnification, without the tools that magnifies it, it's impossible for you to know what a bacteria looks like, for example. So when a human embryo is described in its process of creation within the womb of a mother, and it's described in a way that is understood by a layman and even by a professor called P.Z. Myers, right? Given enough information to him. How is it possible that the Prophet ﷺ, being an illiterate person, living in Arabia, in a desert, with no science at that time advanced as is today, have known this? Ask yourself this rational question. These information couldn't have been known at that time.
So everything in the Quran you're saying is true?
I am saying the information, this true information that I've given you, you have to rationally, scientifically, logically, intellectually justify. How did he know this?
So the whole, when he was in a cave, in the angel cave...
Listen carefully, my friend
No,
Salman.
I'm asking you very frankly.
How did he know this? Either he knew it himself. Question to you. How did he know this? It's impossible for him to know. Without a satellite, without a microscope.
Yeah, but there are lots of mistakes in the Quran. You know there is.
The 2 examples I've given you,
Just to give you an-
deal with it. If I tell you that there are roots of mountains, do you know mountains have roots? Have you seen it yourself?
Foundation.
Roots,
Like
autad.
foundation. Yeah.
Have you seen the roots of a mountain? You haven't. Even if you dig up, you won't be able to see it. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah made the mountains as autad, as pegs. Most of it is underground, a little bit is overground. We know this by sonography, sonars. That you beam the sonar, whatever you call it, and frequency comes back and say, there's the matter, all that time.
But you don't
How did he know this?
Okay, Mansour, I have to go, but I will say one
But
thing.
you are not answering the question.
You know, deal with the
Instead
question.
of dealing with the point,
I
you're
need to go to the
saying,
toilet.
what about...
Deal with the question.
Okay, let's leave it to that. We'll talk again. But ask yourself, these 3 examples I've given,
Reflect and
how
ponder.
was he able to know this?
And you give me the evidence of Adam and Eve, and I'll give you the answer.
No,
just told
deal
you-
with the question. Deal with the
I
question.
cannot give you an evidence yet. I can give you the tools how to prove or disprove it.
But there is a chance it's a fantasy story.
No. I don't buy that there's a chance. Why? Because I have firm conviction that the Quran is from God and God informs about that historical event.
And Jesus never died. Yeah, Jesus never died. You believe that, don't you?
Listen. There are many things. For example, did you know that in your heart there are also synapses that can also think and reflect, perhaps, and feel? Not your brain, your heart has synapses. Did you know this before I told you? So there's many
Interesting
things
fact.
you don't know.
Interesting fact.
We have synapses in our heart, which can actually be just like synapses in our brains and our neurons, which processes information and thinks and feels in our heart. People didn't know. The Quran says, do they have hearts for which they don't yaqiluna biha, they don't ponder and reflect? Now we realize today because we've discovered the synapses.
Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah?
Nice to meet you.
Take care, Salman. Go. We'll talk again another time. Let's pray Maghrib, whoever hasn't prayed Maghrib.